George and Trin Kellan, your hosts to the podcast, Models Doing Interesting and Intelligent Things. And so now let's get into it. We are going to discuss what a celebrity crush is and what it means to have one. So Trin, tell us about what you have had as a celebrity crush, maybe where it all started.
Oh, okay. I think I've had celebrity crushes as long as I can remember, honestly. I remember watching, like, some of my first memories are, like, celebrity crushes, I think. Like, Sweet Life on Deck, like, Cody Martin. I always just liked the nerdy character. I remember, like, going to bed, like, as a little kid, like, as a very little kid, with, like, kind of, like, oh, like me and like the nerdy character on like some Disney Channel show, like going on a date and like that. I was like, oh, like I thought it was like a dirty little secret. Like I didn't want anyone to find out.
That's kind of interesting because my celebrity crush was always the star in the show who was usually like a more bad boy. Like if we were watching Sweet Life, and I had a lot. So like if we were watching Sweet Life, I liked Zach. My first celebrity crush was definitely Anakin Skywalker, and he turned so bad, and I didn't care. I was in love with him.
Well, did you love him from when he was good, and then you just stuck with him, or was it like the badness that intrigued you?
A little bit of both. I liked his like inner turmoil, I think. I mean, like not in so many words when I was young, but I remember thinking like, Padme, you're so stupid, why wouldn't you just go with him? Like he wants to create a world with both of you, and she's like, no, you're breaking my heart, I can't do that.
That's true, but to be fair, I think if I'm correct, you watched the prequels before you watched the original series, and if you watch the prequels first, you kind of you see a lot more, like without going in without the knowledge that the Sith are like super evil. You kind of are more inclined to side with the Sith, from my point of view.
Yeah, and that's true, but not true, because I actually did watch the original trilogy first. But my memories of it, even to this day, are not very great. Like, I was pretty young. So by the time that I was, like, old enough to comprehend, the prequels were just my movies that I really, like, stuck with and remembered. But I had watched the other ones.
Okay, moving on to the differences between you liking the bad boy, me liking the nerdy character. And I think that's kind of stuck through to this day.
Yeah.
Where it's like I don't know if I should say who, but you kind of like if we hear a rumor about a celebrity guy, and it's like, oh, he's kind of an asshole. Like, he is like a bad boy. He gets kicked out of the clubs, doing too much cocaine. It makes you like them more.
It makes them appeal to me because sometimes I don't even like that person to begin with, or not particularly. Like, it's like maybe they're attractive, but it's not like someone that I really have, like taken a liking to. And then I'll hear something, I'll be like, wow, that's really like intriguing. And is that my like Scorpio side? Do I just want something? Like, I want to know that there's just, like, something more underneath. Like, I don't want you to just give everything that you are out to the people. I don't want you to wear your heart on your sleeve. I want to, like, have to dig in. You want to feel special, like, to, like, know who they are underneath.
It's like that bad boy Hardin Scott fantasy. A little bit. Here's the thing. If I have a really intense celebrity crush, I guess that's not true. I guess sometimes I find out something bad and then I'm just over it. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll have, like, a mourning period. But, like, sometimes I've, like, fallen in love with, like, not even the person, but, like, like, not even the idea of the person, but the idea of this story that me and their life, like, would potentially have, that I'm just like, oh, it's just, like, another plot twist in the story. Like, they're so evil, or, like, they cheated on their wife, or I don't know. Like, that's just an example. It's, like, not anyone in particular.
Right.
But it's, like...
Sure.
It's, like, I'll like them because I'm, like, oh, I will like a guy, I will, like, pick out a celebrity where it's like, oh, like, a lot of girls don't really like them.
Yeah.
Or, like, a lot of girls think he's kind of ugly.
Yeah, so I can, and that's a lot of girls. Like, a lot of girls are like you, because they kind of like that new kind of weird Marvel guy, or like that kind of outcast character that's kind of far removed from maybe like the main trio or main like squad.
They want to like be like, he's my little gemstone. Like, he's not like
Yeah,
Harry Potter. He's like Draco, or like not Draco, but like someone like
just like
Dean Thomas or like something like that.
Which is like kind of interesting. And my celebrity crushes, the interesting thing about you is you have a long-term celebrity crush, and my celebrity crushes seem to be more often and like infatuated for shorter periods of time. And I wonder, this might also like translate into like love life in your like daily life. And I tend to not even have as many celebrity crushes if I'm in a current relationship.
You don't have as many if you're in a relationship?
Yeah, so like I'll be like watching movies or like watch a show or whatever, and then I'll get like a celebrity crush. But if I have a boyfriend at the time, I'm not as infatuated with the idea of like the character or the actors or like a musician.
That's the same with me. If I have a boyfriend, I won't like, or even if I have a real life crush, I won't really have if I have a real life crush, I'll have a celebrity crush. But if I'm in a relationship, I won't have a celebrity crush like throughout the whole time. Which
is kind of weird. So like it begs the question, where do you stand with like the celebrity crush? Like, we're just making up fantasies? Do we need love in our life all the time? Do we need to like have that like wanting for something?
That's interesting.
For someone.
Well, do you find when you have a real life crush, like when you were going to school and you had a crush, did you still have celebrity crushes in that time?
I would say yeah.
I did too. But my school crushes, like, they would be long-term as well. Like, I would, like, find a guy and I would like him for, like, the entire school year and, like, still think about him after, I moved.
Well, when I was younger, I would have, like, kind of more so long-term crushes, like, maybe half a school year.
Okay.
But, like, when I got to, like, middle school, high school, and men, like, reciprocated those crushes, I would often lose interest.
Yes. This happened to me. I don't know. Okay, when I moved on to high school, I started having crushes on, like, the teachers. Because I just thought it was, like, kind of forbidden. And, like, I think partly it was, like, my best friend had a really big crush on one of her teachers. So I think I just, like, kind of wanted in on that, like, gossip or, like, feeling like, oh, we're so bad. Like, we have a crush on the teacher. But one of those teachers, like, kind of started, like, pulling me aside at, like, weird times and, like, saying hi to me and me, like, oh, talk to me after you graduate and stuff. And then I was, like, not into it anymore. I was definitely, like, very, very freaked out and was, like...
Which is weird.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's weird, no doubt, but I was, like, aware of it, like, instantaneously that was not what I wanted. Like, I just wanted to have the crush and talk about it with my friend.
Yeah, and that often happens. And I think having a crush on a teacher is really similar to having a celebrity crush in the sense that you feel like it's just such a long shot.
That it's, like, you don't even need to worry about it.
Yeah, it's just, it feels so out of the question for so many people. Or even... Because oftentimes we have celebrity crushes that are
married.
Yeah, married or way too old. Or perhaps we like them in the past and not as they are currently.
Yeah, like when people are like, I love baby Leo.
Yeah, like baby Leo. Like
he doesn't exist.
Pitt. Like, I like Edward Norton when he was, like, in Rounders.
Oh, me too.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
We like, I like Hayden Christensen in Star Wars, but, like, Hayden Christensen today is not that Hayden Christensen.
No. It's also interesting, because it's, like, we've talked about this before, but it's, like, if we met now, like, Hayden Christensen... like, right before he went into Star Wars, or as he was filming his first Star Wars movie, without the knowledge being, like we hadn't seen the movie or anything, I think we'd be not as intrigued as like we would be, or as we think we would be, because he would just be like another kind of young, like, douchey guy. Like,
yeah,
not that he's a douche, but like all guys are kind of douches when they're young, like a little bit, like just a little bit cocky when you're like really good looking.
Yeah, they have this like confidence, especially when you're an actor and just got this huge role. I get that. So I wanted to like kind of bring that around because it almost seems like having a crush is different than being in a relationship. I think that much is obvious, but having a crush almost seems like you're in love with the persona, the person that they put out, rather than the actual person. Kind of like with a teacher, it's circumstantial. Like, you sit in their classroom and they have authority. But like, to meet just like this random 40-something-year-old guy like out at a grocery store, you'd be like, okay.
And he's like a high school teacher.
Yeah, you'd not have the same fantasy. It's kind of like this persona and this perception around them. It's the hype of the celebrity, or like how they present themselves in interviews, or maybe it's a lot of times the character that they play, which is not words that they've actually spoken from their heart. It's words that have been written by a writer.
Yeah. Okay. I want to move on to like people who are like it goes into like a really big obsession. But before we do, I want to talk about how kind of being models, we've had some encounters with boys where you've had an encounter with a boy who was a really big celebrity crush of mine. And then like after that, after he like started talking to you, we both, I think, pretty quickly lost interest.
The crush fizzled out
very fast. So it was just very interesting to see as kind of an experiment where I think a lot of people don't ever get that experience.
Yeah, because I think, but yeah, we like to have someone that's a little bit unobtainable that you can project your perfect man onto, because they have like perhaps the perfect face or the perfect
well, this guy in particular like was a model, so we just like saw his face. I don't think we'd ever like watch an interview of his, which is like different than a lot of other celebrity crushes, where people like watch their interviews and they know a lot about them. So we've never had an experience like that.
And I think a lot of people would meet their celebrity crush and be a little bit disappointed. And it's kind of like that saying, don't meet your heroes.
Yeah, I think it depends. If it was like a really quick encounter and you got the picture, I think, and they were really nice, I don't think that'd be disappointing. But I think, getting to know them or like having a real conversation with them, or working
with them long
term.
Term.
They saw you as an equal and not as a fan. I think most people, if not all, would be let down just because of the amount of like the pedestal you'd put them on. Because how is anyone really going to live up to that? Because they're just people. They're just people.
And they're not their characters, which is really sad.
They're not the person they are in interviews.
No. You have a persona coming.
Yeah, and whether that's conscious or not, but most of the time it is conscious and curated by like.
And usually they have training.
Yeah, exactly. Especially as they like get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Even as like low level as we are, like we already have agents, and our modeling agent, when we go to like go interviews, she'll like tell us like, make sure you say this, or like mention this, mention your Instagram. Yeah. Don't say anything about, controversial. X, Y, and Z. Yeah. They kind of give you tips, and just to be a A-list celebrity or B-list or whatever your celebrity crush is, definitely bigger than us, is like they are getting a lot of input and being told what to say.
Especially if they've a lot of time, like you have to work for a lot of years, like whether you're like nepotism or not, most of the time to be known as an actor. Mm-hmm. So like regardless of even if they like have had like Disney kid training, which I know is a thing, it's like you've just had enough interviews to know like, hey, like people like me more when I do this, or like you've just like curated this like personality around it. where it's like, this is part of my job too, and I need to get people to like me so people will come see my movies. Well, not all celebrity crushes are actors. I think we...
Yeah, but even musicians have personas.
Oh, of course.
And that's kind of another example of, like, how, like, the teacher in the classroom is the center of attention, whereas, like, the musician at a concert or, you know, in the song is, like, their feelings and their voice and just them in general are, like, the center of the attention. The same as, like, an actor in a movie. It's like, maybe you love this movie and you love this character so much, but you don't fall in love with the writer or the director as much. You fall in love with the actor.
Yeah, what is it about that? I mean, sure, people have, like... I've never met somebody who's, like, had a crush on a writer. Ever. I've met people who've had crushes on directors.
Yeah, I think you more often see the director in, like, interviews and cuts and stuff, but not so much a writer. The writer just doesn't do press tours and anything like that, but they're such a big backbone.
Oh, what about novelist?
Novelists?
I know people who have crushes on, like, some novelists.
Like Sarah J. Maas or...
Like John Green.
Oh, yeah, but he's kind of a YouTuber.
That's true.
Like,
that's true. He's so out there. And do they fall in love with his, like, words? No.
Yeah. Which is kind of interesting. No one really, like... And you could read so many beautiful words. And, like, even if you read them in a book, you're not falling in love, really, with the writer. In a sense, you kind of are, but you're like, no, I love Ryzan, the character.
Right.
I love Jace.
I think our brains just, like, are very, like, want to, like, connect a face to everything. Almost, like, related, but not exactly to, like, how, like, your brain is trained to see faces. So, like, sometimes, like, cars look like they have faces. So I think your brain is, like, kind of looking for, like, a connection with, like, a face. And it's just going to take the one that's, like, most prevalent to it.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh,
Definitely.
I am having this, like, really good feeling of, like, watching Edward Cullen. And then I'm like, oh, it's Robert Pattinson. Right? So it's like, if I have this fantasy of dating Spider-Man, like, what's the closest I'm going to get? Probably Tom Holland, right?
Yeah, because he lives in our world.
He lives in our world.
The world
he
of Spider-Man.
is Spider-Man the most I can get.
Well, maybe Tobey Maguire.
I mean, whatever. Maybe Tobey Maguire, or, like, Andrew Garfield. And, like, any of those would be, like, I guess, work.
What about the Miles Morales voice?
No one likes the voice actors either.
That's not true. But a lot of times they'll get celebrities to voice them.
Wait,
But people fall in love with cartoon characters.
That's a good point, too. Yeah. I've never had this happen, but definitely girls have crushes on cartoon characters. Like Jack Frost, or, like, the guy from...
Jack Frost?
Don't say ew.
Sorry.
Wait, not Jack Frost the Snowman. Oh, that's Frosty the Snowman. The one with white hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, him.
From, like, the Christmas cartoon.
Guardians of the Christmas, I think it's called.
Oh, is it a Guardians of the Galaxy?
No.
No.
It's not.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
He has white hair.
Yeah, from the Christmas cartoon.
Yes.
That always plays at Christmas.
No.
He's evil.
No. No. I've never seen the movie. He wears, like, a hoodie.
Then I'm not really sure what
Okay, that's so besides the point.
I'm sorry that you liked him.
I didn't like him.
Sure. I kind of think... I don't often like a cartoon character.
Yeah.
I do...
You like Archer.
Yeah, Archer. Archer from Archer.
Yeah.
Sterling Archer.
But you don't like Bob Belcher from Bob's Burgers. And they're the same person. That
No.
voice is the same.
It's like the character that is created. It is the persona. I like that he's a spy. I like that he's the best.
And you like that he's a
And I like that he's a bad boy. I call it a bad boy. You call it something else that we should probably believe.
This is uncensored.
The uncensored version.
Yeah. So, yeah, liking a cartoon, is that just, like, another added level of, like... Or also, like, that's just, like, part of, like, liking a fictional character, which we didn't really get into. We just kind of said, oh, like, we like the fictional character, and then that kind of, like, relates back to our celebrity crush. But it's, like, some people do just like the character. Like, and especially if you read.
Mm-hmm.
You, like, there's no actor to even, like, connect it to.
Until there is.
So it's, like, a little bit different. Having a crush on a fictional character and having a crush on a celebrity.
Yeah.
And why do I feel like it's healthier to have a crush on a fictional character?
Because you know it'll never happen.
Right. There's that separation. But, like, with, like, a celebrity, it's like, oh, like, I could, like, really dig in there. And then people do get obsessed. And they, like, kind of, you know, there's, like, stalkers out there.
Okay, so let's talk about being obsessed right when we get back from this break. Okay.
Welcome back.
It was a break for us, but probably not much of a break for you because we have no sponsors as of now.
But we're open.
Yeah, we are open to sponsorships.
Konjac jellies. That was just an idea. That's not a brand name. Okay. Okay.
Okay, let's get into being obsessed with a celebrity.
And going into stalking.
Yes.
And when does it cross a line? And when does it cross a line for not just a celebrity, but for you and your mental health?
Yeah, that's interesting. Have you ever been so obsessed with a celebrity that you stalked them?
Stalked. I feel like the word stalked is overused in our...
Yeah, because going through, like, someone's Instagram...
is not stalking. Instagram stalking is not stalking. And it's... What is defined as stalking? Because I've definitely, like, tried to, like, you know, find information about them on, like, Des Moines or, like, Crazy Days and Nights. Or, like, been like, oh, wow, like, they live here. That's interesting. But, like, I've never been like, I'm gonna go there. I've never gone, like... or, like, waited outside like, a hotel to see them. Which people do, and I don't even know if that's considered stalking, because...
Yeah, and a lot of times they have events where they expect fans to show up as well.
Right. Some people do go to the hotel and, like, wait outside. But I think that's almost kind of common practice.
Is it?
I don't know. Well, people do it in groups. Like, a groupie, or, like, following somebody on tour, right?
Right.
But, like, definitely crossing a line to, like, try to get into their room.
Yeah.
Which happens quite a bit from, like, what I've just heard on, like, random celebrity interviews.
Yeah, okay. That's kind of creepy. I think that's when we're invading their personal space.
I think waiting outside the hotel is, like...
borderline.
Yeah, that's pretty borderline. I don't think it's okay if, like... especially if they didn't put the information out there. And like... paparazzi do that too, which is like paparazzi definitely cross lines of stalking, in my opinion.
They definitely do. And well, it's not very healthy for you too because you're spending a lot of time and money going to see this person that you don't know. You don't know who they really are.
Right. But is that you also are doing that if you're following them on tour, which I don't think is stalking.
But are you also, like, enjoying the time that you're having there?
Hopefully if you do it in a group.
Yeah, and you must enjoy the music a lot.
And you enjoy that community.
Yeah.
But kind of doing it on your own. I feel like I've definitely, like, maybe more so with, like, fictional characters where it's, like, I've, like, liked them a lot. That I've, like, gotten, like... it kind of, like, made me sad because I'm like, oh, they're not real. Mm-hmm. But I think those were just, like, dark times in my life where I just felt really lonely and I was just, like, looking kind of for, like, something to cling to. And I think that's a lot of, like, celebrity crushes, especially with, like, how intense they are. Or, like, even just getting hyper-fixated on, like, a show. It's like, oh, like, you're just, like, having a lonely time.
Yeah, you need connection. I feel like that's just one of the human conditions is we need more connection. And even if you live with family or roommates or have good relationships, it's really hard to have a deeper connection that you feel understood.
And even if you do have that, it's like, it's hard to, I feel like a lot of people feel lonely even having like friends, even if like you do kind of have those deep connections.
Well, and how could you ever connect on every single level? Because I've had some great friends that I connect with on maybe a professional level or just in certain aspects. Maybe I have good friends that I connect with spiritually or creatively, or like you can have a good partner or boyfriend where you guys have similar likes and interests, but that doesn't mean that they feed a deeper part of that connection, because there's so many aspects of you as a person. You're just complex that it's hard to find someone that you can talk to about everything. And that doesn't need to just be one person, because that can just create such a toxic relationship, I feel. But you definitely can find a group of people that you can keep close, that you can have these connections. But that's so hard. Like,
That's
I don't
rare.
have that.
I don't have that. I don't think I've ever had that.
I don't have people that I can talk to much about my spirituality. Maybe like you or my grandpa or my mom or dad. But also, where do you connect with people like financially? Like, I don't have anyone that gives me like financial advice or tells me or has like the same viewpoints that I think I should have financially, because that's kind of really like hard to talk about even in our culture.
Yeah, it's very like taboo. But are you like, I don't like, you're not getting these outlets from like liking a celebrity.
That's true. I just think you need a certain level of connection. So emotionally, and I think that's probably the biggest one, is finding someone that kind of feels the same as you or can understand those. And I think that's big where a character comes in, because they can show a lot of emotion. And even though you and I are really close, or you're really close with your family or your boyfriend or your best friend, emotionally speaking, they're not going to meet all your emotional needs.
No.
And I think we also have this deeper desire for a romantic connection.
I think that, yeah, because it's almost always romantic when it gets to that, like a more intense level. Mm-hmm. Even if it's just, like, a slightly more intense. Or it's, like, I don't know. Do you ever, I mean, I think people have platonic crushes on celebrities, but that's just, like...
So, also, like, dipping into, like, sexual desire.
I mean, like the kind of, like, the crazy stuff that's like out there with like fictional characters, but also like an Armie Hammer, like you
fan fiction. Oh, like they would just like give anything because
right
they really like.
But also Armie said, I know, that he got like more after the scandal broke. He got more DMs like of being like, hey, like I'll do this for you. Like I'll give you my rib. You can have my toe or whatever.
Like Jeffrey Dahmer style.
Yeah, people who are, like, in love with serial killers.
It's
or,
weird.
like,
After they're
shooters. Caught. Oh, yeah, because you don't know them before they're caught.
Exactly, and then they send them letters and have this. So what even...
Does that... It's kind of... I don't know if that's on a sliding scale of, like, liking the bad boy. Well, you like the bad boy. I like the boy who... doesn't. A lot of girls don't like them, and that's kind of like an extreme combination of both of those things.
Yeah.
So it's like
more of a circle.
It's a circle. But
like a blurry circle
like,
that you can be at any point in. What
does that say about you, like, psychologically? Like, what kind of celebrity you like? What does that say about you?
Well, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I just think it's an interesting concept. If you, not necessarily just you, but like a girl who likes, or boy, the more nerdy character or the outcast character, perhaps you feel a need for this emotional connection because maybe you feel a little bit like that, but also maybe you don't like a lot of competition.
I think it's like, yeah, like not liking a lot of competition. I think definitely in, like, my formative years, it was, like, well, I can't really compete, like, with, I wouldn't be, I never would like Justin Bieber, like, when I was a kid, because I was, like, well, that's just, like...
Everyone.
That's everyone. That's too much competition.
There's a lot.
But if I liked, I don't know, like, a like a St. John from Victorious or like a Robbie Shapiro. It's like not a lot of girls. Like that's like more in my league, like my ballpark.
It makes you feel like it's a little bit more obtainable.
Right.
But also then you don't really have the need to, like, just going back to like primitive times. You don't want like an alpha male.
Yeah, which is weird because I'm not on birth control.
She makes this joke because birth control supposedly
makes you like weaker men because you're always in the ovulatory phase, or your body always thinks you're pregnant.
Yeah.
So you want like a more nurturing man.
So yeah, perhaps birth control makes us like thinner or more men who are more nurturing rather than protective and like caretaking, or have higher sperm count.
That's true.
More fertile.
I think, yeah, that's interesting. Well, I know when I was younger, like, and I would kind of like more feminine men. And I think, like, I'd kind of get teased for it. But my dad would kind of be like, well, she's just like a little girl. Like, she doesn't want like a man. Like, she would like somebody who like looks more like, you know, a boy. Mm-hmm. But like, that hasn't really changed that much as I've gotten older. And you liked like a Hayden Christensen who's more manly, in my opinion.
He has a feminine beauty, but he's very manly. I still think he is very attractive. Just for the record.
Just putting that out there.
Like,
but
if Hayden wanted to... No. Continue.
He's single.
I know.
Yeah, you do. Okay. But I also liked Captain America.
You did.
I did, but I liked him because of like the character he was.
Oh.
The wig too. I liked him better with the wig, it's true. But I liked him because he was like this like really like stand-up guy. He was like so moral. And I remember what broke this like crush I had with like, I still like Captain America moving forward, but I was kind of like just fed into that, like into Chris Evans. But like what broke that for me was like I saw an interview where he was kind of talking about like girls calling him like Captain America in the bedroom. And I was just kind of like, oh, like that it just shattered the illusion. I was like, he is not, like, Captain America would never say that. Like Steve Rogers would never say that. So I just like immediately was not into that.
I get that, because Chris Evans is kind of opposite.
A little bit opposite Steve Rogers.
Yeah, because he's such a good stand-up guy that stands up.
Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
Is.
And I'm not saying Chris Evans isn't. He just, like, is seen out at, like, a lot of nightclubs and, like, kind of says, like, funny, dirty things that are cute to some people.
Yeah, so I think it crosses this, like...
It broke the fantasy of...
Yeah.
That he was this perfect, like, really moral person.
I think, but even as, like, people, like, or even, like, guys who are, like, just, like, fanboys of, like, the superheroes, I think they like the idea that, like, the actor is just like the character. I feel like a lot of people like that idea and they want to buy into it.
Yeah.
Like, Chris Pratt, he's such a Star-Lord. Paul Rudd, he's such, like, an Ant-Man. Scott. Mm-hmm. They, like, really want to believe that they're just like them, but, like, they're not. They're not really even that similar. They kind of, like, I think kind of they morph, or they almost, like, craft their persona as a celebrity to, like, fit the character they're trying to promote in a way, especially in these, like, franchise films.
Yeah, especially when you do it for 10 years. Mm-hmm. Well, parts of you are going to be in that character, but also in all of your press, you have to kind of be on this half character. You know, like, you have to kind of put on that a little bit of, like, this is my character, but I need to portray that side of myself. Yeah. As I'm doing that.
So, like...
Because have you ever seen an actor doing press for one thing, and then they kind of act differently later on when they're doing press for another thing?
Like Austin Butler?
Yeah! Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen that with Austin Butler.
Yeah, anyone else?
I don't know. Is it like maybe like a Will Poulter? Is it growing them up? Is it them doing it so meticulously, or is it like a combination of both, or maybe it's them trying to be like who they like feel they should be in the public eye, or because like it's like if you're seen as that like funny guy, or like I'm like Seth Rogen, like I'm the funny guy, like I have to like be funny on the interviews, but then it's like, oh, I'm doing a serious role, I don't have to like put that on anymore. Like it's like almost like how much of your self-identity is even formed by like what you think people expect of you, or what you think people want to see from you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, let's take it back a little bit to the obsession.
Let's take it back, yeah.
Let's take a step back. Going back to the obsession.
Yeah, the story that comes to mind, for sure, when I'm like, that's so crazy, is I read an article about this girl who was, like, very, very obsessed with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Okay.
And she would never, like, post anything about him or about liking the show or anything, because she was, like, convinced that she was going to, like, marry him someday. So she didn't, like, want any of that record out there. And I think, and she said, like, she kind of spiraled for her. Like, and it just got really out of hand, where it was, like, affecting her mental health. And she would, like, kind of, like, try to run into him, like, casually and, like, follow him around. And it's, like, that story to me is just, like, whoa, like, I mean...
It's a little bit out there. And you turned your life upside down. It took over your life.
Yes.
It kind of reminds me, well, it doesn't remind me of, but it just, like, brought up the thought of, like, Hailey Bieber tweeting out that she really liked Justin Bieber and she liked Selena.
Yeah, and she liked them together.
But now she's married to him. And I wonder how much, like, her celebrity crush played into her marrying him or saying yes so quickly.
That's true.
I don't know. It would be interesting to, like, hear her thoughts on, like, what she thought of him in her formative years.
Yeah, that's interesting, is, like, if we, it's, like, kind of going, like, being, like, more of a celebrity, like a Gigi Hadid, like, I've heard that she just, like, if she likes a guy, like, she'll just, like, DM him. Like, if she has a celebrity crush, she'll just DM... Like, the guy from The Bachelor that she dated.
Tyler Cameron.
Yeah, she just, like, DM'd him. And it's, like, she's Gigi Hadid, so she, you know, she gets a response. And it's kind of, like... That's, like, such an interesting dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's... And it's, like, she will, like, actually, like, date them for a while. But it's, like... I don't know. Because it's, like, at what point... It's, like, you can just see a guy and think he's cute. And then there's, like, having a celebrity crush, I feel like, is different. Like, having a celebrity crush is different than, I'd say, like, where it's, like, oh, like, who's your celebrity crush? And you're like, like, well, like, the Superman's really cute. Like, I like Henry Cavill. But it's, like, oh, like, then there's a celebrity crush where you, like, you know about them. You watch their interviews. Like, you go to see their movies. Because they're in them.
Right. And I don't think that's bad. And
I don't think that's bad either.
I mean, and to just take back a little bit of what we said, their personality does come out eventually. You know, a little bit.
Yeah,
you can see glimpses
and
of it.
Especially if you're, like, looking for, like, information.
If you're watching all their interviews, you definitely see who they are in, like, little parts of it. Because you don't hold that facade all the time. And I'm not saying that everyone holds a facade. I'm just saying...
Everybody has a little bit different personality when a camera comes out.
Yeah.
And but it's like, yeah, you can't, like, if you're, like, portraying that you're this, like, super, like, nice, clean-cut guy, and you're a fan, and you're, like, watching hours and hours of this podcast, and this guy's secretly a huge douchebag, it's like, you're gonna figure it out.
Things. You're gonna catch little things you're like, wait, that doesn't sit right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not possible to, like, hide, too. Like, especially when everybody's, like, it depends on how big of a celebrity you are, too.
Yeah. I know, like the Jonas Brothers, like, talked a lot about having a lot of groupies and being chased.
Right.
And stuff like that, which is just like, I mean, and it kind of seems like it wrecked parts of their life. Like you just can't live a normal life. Like the Kardashians can't really go outside without.
That's totally true, but that's not really due to like celebrity crushes for the Kardashians.
Is it not?
Do you think?
I think some of it. I think a lot of guys have celebrity crushes on them.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I've never like really thought about that. I never like really think of celebrity crush in terms of like I'm like a guy who like likes a girl, but I mean it like there's like huge. Like I don't want to say this, but like it just feels a little bit like scarier if a guy is really obsessed with a girl, especially when. Like those, I don't know if you like know like the deep fake stuff that like
yeah, like Selena Gomez and
like the Selena Gomez and they're like putting her face on like porn.
Yeah.
And I know that's like a huge and like and like the guy who like hacked Jennifer Lawrence's phone and like
yeah, and got her nudes.
Yeah,
that's definitely crossing a line.
And I feel like that doesn't really happen with
men as much.
Men. Like I've never been like
women have more wholesome crushes, but not always.
No, definitely not. Oh, you remember the girl who like went to Tom Hiddleston's
yes.
Broadway play and like she like masturbated through the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's
mortifying.
That's terrible.
That's really bad.
But it's like, have you ever had a guy's nudes? Can you think of a male celebrity who's had his like nudes or like some sex tape leaked by a like female fan who was obsessed with him? Because I can't think of an example, and I can think of a lot of examples for men or for women.
What about Pamela Anderson and Tommy? Because Tommy's was leaked as well, but I guess it was
more for Pam, for sure.
And wasn't it for revenge though on Tommy?
If the show Pam and Tommy is to be believed. I don't know how accurate that show is.
I don't know either. I thought there was some truth to the revenge of the guy leaking it. Or maybe he just wanted money.
And don't we all?
Do we?
Yes. I do.
People that have a lot of money, I feel like they don't feel like that's the...
Wait, I feel like people who have a lot of money... Anyways, besides the point. I can think of a lot of examples of, like, when it's, like, a guy, and he's definitely, like, crossed a line. Like, the guy who lived at Jennifer Lopez's pool house, and, like, the guy who was, like, inside... I think it was Anne Hathaway's house. Yeah. I can think of a lot of those. And I know there's a mental disorder where it's, like, they think, like... they are sending signs to them like on the screen, like through the screen, like that they know them,
right?
That's like a real actual like diagnosable thing. And I don't like, that's a little bit different to me. That's a little bit like not like what I mean when I'm like, oh, obsession, like going into like stalking.
So what do you mean?
I think it's just kind of like the girls who are like kind of like during like the Twilight for like phase when like they would like go to a Princeton's like hotel and then like
and they like cry when they meet them. Not that it
I think that crying when you meet a celebrity is like natural just because it's very overwhelming.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't think that's not really like a stalker to me or like an obsession.
I definitely I was just going into like the to like
like the Twihard.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like the girl who like you know like they like go to like their hotels and like find their like room numbers or like they like or this like happens like when like do you remember like Tom Holland when he had that girlfriend who was like a family friend and like this always happens and like if a guy who's like really famous and has a lot of female fans is like they'll if like it comes out they have a girlfriend they'll like and she's like not famous they'll like swarm her Instagram and, like she'll have to like go private and like she'll get a lot of hate and like death threats.
Yeah, that's
And why does it feel, like, kind of common? Because it's enough people where it's, like, it can't just be ignored. Like, they have to go private.
Well, I mean, even Selena Gomez and, like, Hailey Bieber got them.
Right, for Justin Bieber.
For Justin's fans. And they're famous, so they have fan bases as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just don't... Yeah, because, like, what's really your mentality, like, when you have, like, the celebrity crush? Is it, like, I'm, like...
You just don't want to cross over into this line of, like, possession, like, this is, like... And how much can we really have our life taken up by this person that we have never met or never really known?
I think what's really good about it is, like, you can just kind of have this, like, oh, like, I'm not in a relationship right now, and I'm just gonna kind of have this, like, oh, like, fantasy, like, in my head, like, just so you don't feel that need to, like, go out and, like, seek a boyfriend just for the sake of having a boyfriend, because you're, like, missing that, like, romantic chase at the moment.
Right. And I think that's harmless, and I honestly think that's natural.
I think that's what they're, like, best used for.
Yeah.
Or in, like, informative years as well, of, like, learning, like...
Who you like,
yeah.
And, like, what interests you. And it's kind of interesting, formative year crushes, because it just seems so, like, how do you even, like, choose that? Do you just choose, like, I mean, because, like, a lot of people are, like, have their sexual awakening for some, like, character.
Yes.
And so, and, like, I know when I was younger, like, I didn't have my first crush until Anakin Skywalker. Like, that was my first crush.
Right.
But was it just because, like, I was really interested in that movie and in that world at the time? Or, like... But if I was watching something else, would I have been, like...
Would you have not liked the bad boy?
And yeah, would that have shaped my whole life?
That's interesting.
Because now am I like, oh, like, Anakin Skywalker, perfect man.
Right. Because I think I agree with the sentiment that, like, your celebrity crushes kind of form your taste more than your taste form your celebrity crushes.
Right.
I agree with that. Like, if that's the sentiment you're putting across, I find that to be true.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if that is necessarily, but I think that could definitely happen.
Because I think people have this idea of, like, you, like, find yourself as you grow up, but, like, you don't. You, like, you form a person.
Really?
That's what I believe. I don't think, like, you're, like, this innate person, like you're born to be this innate person.
I think it's kind of, a mixture.
Oh, that's such a cop-out answer.
Well, I think it's true.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's more true. But I lean on the side. If I were to say one over the other, I think you create yourself more than you find yourself, and you create your taste more than you find your taste. So I think celebrity crushes actually do form your taste, which can be kind of scary, especially if you like a scary bad boy. But do you find that that's like happened in your relationships? I don't feel like you really dated many bad boys. You haven't dated many people at all, actually.
Yeah, I haven't. I kind of lack experience, but you lack even more.
I lack even more experience.
I feel like my first high school boyfriend was a little bit of, like, a bad boy in a sense, because he just, like, got in trouble more often. He wasn't, like, actually, like, bad, you know?
Yeah.
He's not, like...
He wasn't, like, a murderer.
Yeah, he didn't drive a motorcycle, but he, like, you know, he, like, smoked, he kind of got in trouble, was a little bit of an outcast, but, like, kind of, like, hung out with, like, the cool boys, you know what I mean? And then my second was kind of interesting, because it kind of also relates to Anakin Skywalker, because he was kind of, like, wounded. His best friend had just died, you know? And it's, like, kind of like that Anakin, like, his, like, mom died, and he's, like, all wounded and sad and kind of angry.
Yeah, that's really interesting, actually.
So, yeah, it kind of does relate. For me, at least.
For me, I feel like... I don't know. I just lack so much experience, though. I feel like my boyfriend, I just, like, grabbed what was, like, I could get. Like, not a lot of guys in high school liked me, so I just kind of, like, it's not like I was, like, you know, prime picking, top of the food chain.
Well, and the thing about all my relationships is I never sought out the guy. They always, like, went to find me, so, like, but did I attract my celebrity crush type or the character I liked into my life?
That's a little, like, cookie.
Or, well, you know, because, like, you also have to, like, say yes to them. Because there was definitely a lot of other boys that I had to say no to in order to, like, date.
Yeah, for you. For you. She's a model. I'm a model, too. Just not the kind of guys like.
No, but you've definitely, like, turned down people that, like, you've had guy friends that have liked you and stuff. And you just, like, don't reciprocate, so, like, they obviously just don't go any further, you know?
I don't recall.
Yeah, you definitely have. Because I remember you've told me before. But I've had, like, a lot of guy friends that I know, like, had interest in me or, like, kind of, like, potential, and then I'll be like, no. So I did, like, have to reciprocate to those boyfriends in some degree. I just didn't seek them out the same way.
That's true. I feel like I'm only, like, seeked out, like, one guy, and, like, we never dated. But he was definitely, like, my celebrity crush. Like, he was, like, top of the class, like, nerdy, like, goody two-shoes.
Oh, interesting.
So
it just seems a pattern in our lives, at least.
Yeah, and it's also, like, what about, like, or, like, you know, like, just, like, Evan Peters.
Evan Peters is pretty mainstream.
He's pretty mainstream. But he's, like, such weird characters. Like, very scary.
And that makes girls like him more.
But they were, like, they watch the interviews and they're like, well, he's, like, so shy and weird and random.
But this might go into, like, the psychology of, like, you want to bring home someone that's so dark and twisted that it kind of makes your parents upset, or, like, other people in your past life are, like, are you asking for attention in that way?
I feel like...
I kind of want a reaction.
I feel like that was true for me, for, like, liking, like, very too older guys, like the teacher crushes. Mm-hmm. Like, you kind of want to, like, make it's like almost like, a sense of rebellion.
Yeah. You want people to be like, wait a second, we need to check up on her. What is wrong with that girl?
Or it's like, you know, you just kind of want to cause a scene.
Yeah. You want that reaction when everyone's going around saying, I like Timothée Chalamet, I like Tom Holland.
Oh, yeah, just, like,
I
talking
like
about
Dylan
it.
O'Brien. And then someone's like, yeah?
I like Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like, she's different.
Yeah. Also, like, the Ted Bundy thing was, like just worryingly mainstream.
Yeah. But honestly, I get it to an extent. Because I get the wonder. I'm not judging anyone because I, like, understand liking someone who's a little bit naughty.
I will say as well,
Like,
I have no place to judge. I definitely have, like, said that I like some kind, like, criminal, like, that I have a crush on a criminal for a reaction out of people, and for, like, just to, like, kind of be seen as, like, a little bit weird, a little bit different.
Yeah, and I would definitely do that in front of my, like, grandparents just to see what they would say.
Oh.
Because I'm that kind of person that kind of, like, when I was a kid, I would always hide in the closet to jump scare people.
Yeah.
You know, like, I just want that reaction.
Yeah, but I would never go to bed at night, like, kind of, like, fantasizing, like, oh, like, and then Jeffrey Dahmer, like, takes my, like, you know, like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what he did.
That might be a different, we should have Jordan Peterson on our podcast so he could explain.
Right, so this is episode 1. Episode 2, we're gonna have Jordan Peterson on.
And we're gonna have a Contact Jelly sponsor. Okay. Thank you guys for listening. This is Payton George and Trin Kellan on Models Do Intelligent and Interesting Things.